do with it, YouTube? It's your boy Swiper 480 back at it again with another video today. I'm gonna do a reaction video to Swamp Stories. We got Swamp Stories Norteños versus Sureños. I don't really know how I feel about this video. I don't normally touch on game banging topics, and yeah, I don't normally get too far into the game banging stuff, but it seems like that's what gets the views. So we're gonna watch and see what this video's about. So go ahead and stay tuned. Alright, popped up.
I know this topic was highly anticipated, and here it is. Let me introduce you to a side of California that you never want to mess with. This video will serve as an intro to the sides and how they operate. What I'm about to present to you is not a phase or a trend, it's a lifestyle. It's deeper than colors and tattoos, it's all about pride. But before we get into it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Let's break it all down as simply as possible. California is basically split into two sides, red and blue, but I'm not talking about B's and C's. Let me explain. It all started around 1968 in California's prisons. The Latinos from Northern California.
Let me just give it 1 second and say it's split way more than that. It doesn't just come down to, Sureños and Norteños, and not anybody can be a Sureño, you feel me? Everybody thinks that everybody from Southern California is automatically a Sureño, and that's not the case at all.
Were outnumbered by those from SoCal. At this time, Northern California's population was half of what it is today. Originally, Latinos in prison would stick with people from their hometown or neighborhood. But because their cliques were so much smaller than SoCal's, they couldn't hold their own. To combat this, they decided to unify and call themselves the Norteños. This means Northerners in Spanish. They're also called 14 because N is the 14th letter in the alphabet. You can tell a Northerner by their tattoos and what they wear. Look for XIV, 14, X4, or 4 dots tattooed on them. As far as clothing, you'll catch them wearing red, so mostly 49ers jerseys, Bulls jerseys, and bandanas. And this is what their flag looks like. For Northerners, everything works from the top down. Top ranks call all the shots, and if you don't follow the orders, you will not last long. Now, let's talk about their rivals. Well, actually, before we do that, let me explain the geography. Originally, the line was drawn at Bakersfield. Anything above Bakersfield would be considered Northerner, and anything below? Well, that brings us to the blue side, the Sureños. This means Southerner in Spanish, but they...
And it's not just in California, they got them in other states, but they're not considered Sureños on the streets. I can't really speak too much for the northern side. I don't know if they consider themselves to be Norteños when they're on the streets.
They also go by 13. So if you hear me say 13 or Southsiders, I'm talking about them. Let's go back to the start. Once the Northerners banded together in...
And there's a big difference between Sureños and Southsiders. You see, Southsiders are anything south, southern of California. They're considered Southsiders. To become a Sureño, you got to put in a lot of work, go to prison, and basically dedicate your life to being locked up for a very long time and programming while you're in there. When I say programming, I don't mean just doing burpees, waking up early, and this and that. That's expected from everybody. Sureños are the ones that do the things that gotta be done, if you get what I'm talking about.
1968, the Southerners decided to do the same thing. That's when they decided that...
And not everybody got to do things in prison. No. You could go to prison and you can chill. When I say chill, I don't mean sit up on your bunk all day and watch TV. No. You're expected to work out. You're expected to wake up early. You're expected to go to yard. And you're expected to get down if a riot pops off. But other than that, You don't gotta do nothing. You don't gotta whack nobody. You don't gotta do no stabbings, nothing like that. Unless that's what you want. If that's what you want, that's what you can do. But it's not expected of you. No.
That Bakersfield would be the border between North and South. Anything Bakersfield and below is.
And I wouldn't recommend. I'm not gonna say like. I wouldn't recommend getting involved in nothing like that. Go to prison and do your time and get out. The world is too beautiful. You feel me?
It's considered Sureño territory. You can tell a Southsider by their appearance. They typically have 3 dots tatted on them, or 13 or X3. They wear blue, so Dodgers and Cowboys jerseys and blue bandanas are typical.
And that's not true at all. You see, every hood, every Southside hood has their own hats. Every Southside hood also does not just wear blue. You got Southside hoods that wear gray. You got Southside hoods that wear black. You even got Southside hoods that wear red. And you would think, why are you wearing red if the Norteños wear red? And when we're in the streets, it's not like that at all. It's really not down to color. It's block to block. But every block within Southern California, you know, certain towns in Arizona, certain towns in Washington, certain towns in Nevada, you know, they program with the Southsiders. So when they go to jail with the Southsiders, you know. And not every Southsider is a Sureño, like I said. They're just there programming with them, and there if stuff pops off, but they don't gotta do nothing.
Their culture tends to be different than Northsiders because Southern California people just move differently than NorCal. Once again, let's head back to the late 1960s. All of this was going on inside the prisons, but let's talk about the street.
And another thing I need to make clear. So out here on the streets, not all Southsiders get along at all. Actually, a lot of them don't get along. A lot of them beef it on the streets, and when they go to jail, that's when they become cool. That's when they become underneath the same umbrella.
Streets. Things were operating differently on the streets at first. The streets of California were split between the Mexican Mafia and La Nuestra Familia. What ended up happening is Nortes began associating.
Now, these two groups right here that he talked about, you know, the Mexican Mafia and the Northern structure, you know, the Northern Familia, those are big groups. I'm not really going to speak too much on them, but not anybody could become part of them. No.
With NF, and Sureños began associating with the Mexican Mafia.
When we walked the yard, we feared no one. We feared not the guards, not the inmates.
This person that's talking right here, he's probably considered no good. He's probably considered a dropout. And if he isn't, the reason why he covered his face and changed his voice is because what he's doing right here is all bad. Wherever he's from, whatever organization he's from, they're going to look at this and they're going to be pissed off that this guy's talking.
Around us.
That violence is no longer confined to prisons.
The outside world is like a playground for us. When we're out on the streets, we have no regard for human life.
At first, the NF, Nuestra Familia, was purely a prison gang. They wrote a constitution outlining their cause, borrowing from the message of Cesar Chavez, but ignoring his commitment to nonviolence. They stood for unity, education, and protection.
Nuestra Familia had a military type background. A lot of them had been in Vietnam, and they brought that military structure with them to their new organization, the Nuestra Familia.
Both of them have a military background. Both of them have structure. Both of them have rules. For basically for you youngsters that go to prison that think that it's sweet and you're gonna do whatever you want and you wake up late and you know you go to sleep late and you're just gonna be chilling, you know, smoking, doing this, doing that, getting tattoos. You got a surprise, you know, you got a surprise coming for you when you go there, because there's nothing like that. I'm talking about waking up at 4 a.m., you know, teeth brushed, boogers washed out of your eyes, you know, suited and booted, waiting for your food. And probably before you even step outside your door, you're already up at 3:30 working out, you know. Then you go do your showers. Then you get ready, you know, and then you go outside and wait for breakfast. And for the rest of the day, you'll be working out too. Don't think you're just going to work out, you know, in that little morning time.
And they had a general, and they had captains, and they had right down to what they called soldados. They're soldiers.
From there, each side grew bigger and gained new alliances. A group of Sureños started this clique called MS-13. Ever heard of these guys?
And again, you see how he's trying to sandwich in MS-13 with Sureños. Like I said, can't anybody be a Sureño? Are there Sureños that are from MS-13? There might be, you know, but that is its own entity. Being a Sureño is its own entity. It's its own identity. It is not the same thing as these street gangs. MS-13 is a street gang. You feel me? It's a gang that is on the streets. When they go to prison, if they choose to become a Sureño, they have the opportunity to become one. But can't just anybody be one. No.
They are something serious.
At about 11 o'clock every night in my neighborhood, they gather together in cars and then they head out to graffiti different places, do robberies, assault people, break windows. It's a disaster, just a disaster.
Anyways, they started in Los Angeles in the 1970s. Many people think that they started in Central America and migrated into America, but that is totally wrong. In fact,
that is wrong. A lot of people, they think that MS-13 came from El Salvador, when it's actually vice versa. You see, what happened was a lot of people out here, they didn't have papers, they were caught up in crime, they got deported, they went back to El Salvador. The people of El Salvador seen, you know, the Cholo Stilo, they seen the Dickies, they seen the jerseys, they seen the shaved heads, the Cortezes, and they fell in love with the style. And these fools that got deported and went back to El Salvador put these fools on and started their own fraction out there.
it's the opposite. MS was not in Central America until the US deported them there. They brought their alliances to a country that they may have never lived in or only spent childhood years. Their rivals were called the 18th Street because that's where they originated. 18th Street in Los Angeles grew to become a
Now 18th Street is their ops, alright? When they're on the street, MS-13 and 18th Street got beef. And these are only two small gangs. Not to say that they're small, you know, no disrespect. But what I mean is, there's hundreds of other Hispanic gangs out there. And some of them may have beef on the streets. Like 18th Street and MS-13, they have beef on the streets, you know. They don't really like each other. They're a few blocks away from each other out there in Los Angeles. But when they get to prison, that's when they become Southsiders. That's when they learn to coexist with each other. I'm not saying they're super friendly and they're talking to each other, but they're definitely not beefing. And they're definitely not, you know, putting in work on each other. Not in prison. The county jails is a little bit different. There may be fights that break out here and there, but still they're not whacking each other and they're not killing each other.
giant operation.
18th Street, composed mostly of Mexican Americans, resented the newcomers.
So
MS formed primarily to protect themselves.
And many members were deported back to Central America as well. And just like MS, they took their alliances with them as well. Before we continue, let me cover some ground about how these groups operate. What's different about these guys versus others in my previous videos is that these guys have real structure. Shots are called from the top down. You might be envisioning this as a rich guy tucked off in his mansion making orders, but that's not how it works. Shots are called from the prisons, and top-ranking members are usually in level 4 maximum security. You might be thinking, how does this...
So he's saying that, but that's true for both sides. You know, I'm not too sure if on the northern side, everybody is considered a norteño and they have to listen to their higher ups. But on the southern side, you have the option to listen, and you have the option to put in work and take orders from whatever word is coming out of prison, whatever word is coming out from the higher ups. But don't think that you have to. No. The people that do that would be considered sureños. That's really what a sureño is. Can't anybody just be one though? No.
work? Well, they connect to the outside world through letters. The classic way is to write in code so the COs can't interpret what they're saying. These days, it can be a lot easier to communicate. Depending on what kind of prison you're in, you can also communicate in different ways. There are prisons where inmates have iPhones, PlayStations, that green stuff, that white stuff, that wet stuff, you know what I'm saying. Anyways, most of the politicking occurs on the yard. This is where members congregate to make decisions. It's also where they pass around paperwork. For those of you who don't know, this is what they call the kite. This is what brings me to the most important topic.
I don't know why they're talking about 6ix9ine. That's crazy. Paperwork. What paperwork is, so when you go to prison, you're going to have a police report, and you're going to have, damn, I can't think of the name right now. Hold on. It's a police report, and it's a discovery packet. There we go. So you have your police report. Your police report was everything you said while having, while being arrested, basically. While the police were up on you, that's the police report, right? That's everything you said to the officer. The discovery packet is everything you said in court. Every statement you made, this, that, the third, and the charges you were charged with, that's all going to be on the discovery pack. Now, depending what charges you got, if you got some weirdo charges, you're not going to stay on that yard. They're going to stab you, poke you up, all that. You ain't going to stay. Weird charges would be like weird things with kids, weird child abuse, you know, rape, stuff like that, if you know what I mean. Those are weird charges. Those will get you poked up off the yard. Let's see what they got to talk about 6ix9ine though.
Rats. When a rat hits the yard, it's bad news. Real bad news. The number one thing you cannot do as a Northsider or Southsider is tell on someone. When they find out about this, which they will, you will not make it to your cell that night. It's over for you.
And they are gonna find out about it. They are. If you snitched, they're gonna find out. It's gonna be on that paperwork. It's gonna be on the discovery pack. It's gonna be on the police report. You know. And nowadays, people got cell phones, which means they have access to contact people on the streets. You know, they have access to send a cash app so people can go buy the discovery pack. So people can go buy the video, because nowadays police officers, they have the little camera, they have audio, so they could literally have their family members go buy a DVD and put the DVD into the DVD player and play your case on TV, FaceTime, and they're gonna see all the audio, because the police report might be a little bit wrong, but that audio, that camera footage ain't gonna be wrong.
The number 2 thing you cannot do is disobey orders. If you are ordered to make a hit on somebody, knowing you'll never be able to see your kids again after this, you still better do it. Once you disobey an order, your fellow member that...
Excuse me. Now this is kind of true, but remember when I said not everybody got to take orders. Not everybody has to do this, not everybody got to do that. That's only if you want to put in work, earn your bones, and become, become a part of the organization, become a Sureño or whatever. If you go there and you just want to do your time, you can do your time. Even if you're a part of a gang, even if you gangbang on the streets, you could go there and do your time. A lot of people gangbang, and a lot of people don't want to become a part of that organization, because once you become a part of that organization, you basically put that before everything. You're no longer a gangbanger, Once you're a part of that, you're no longer your hood. You could be from your hood, this, that, the third, but you're no longer a part of your hood, you're a part of that. So a lot of people see it like, my loyalties to my hood, my loyalties to my block. And that's cool, You could do that, you could do your time, you could come home and work and live a regular life, or come out here and start gangbanging again. The choice is yours.
That you called brother yesterday, well, he will be ordered to take care of you. Now that we've covered the rules, let's get into the beef. There have been so many events and stories to tell, I can't possibly cover it all, but there are some historic moments that I cannot skip. The story of Brown Bob. Brown Bob was a legendary Northsider known for putting in work. It's 1978 in the Monterey County Jail. This is where he first made his name. Word got out that a fellow Northsider told too much information to investigators. Brown Bob was ordered to take him out, and
Now they're going to be speaking on politics right here. I don't know if I'm going to comment too much on all these politics, because I don't really do stuff like that. I'll talk about like street gangs and stuff that happens on the streets, and I'll talk about like the basic information you can get. But I'm not a part of these organizations, you feel me? I'm not a part of these big organizations, so why even speak on it? I'll watch it, I'll react to it, but I'm not going to go too much in depth on what they're saying.
he did it successfully. He knew that he would get life for it, but he wanted no part of it. Before he could get sentenced, he escaped the county jail and fled to Mexico with his wife. He then would get arrested in Mexico for all kinds of crimes and was brought back to jail in America. He was sentenced, and this is where he became the biggest recruiter in San Quentin. He was like the Norte Nick Saban. He would end up getting parole in 1992 and return to his hometown of San Jose. When he got home, he wanted to change his life around and be a positive example to the children in his community. He began speaking for people.
And that's good, you know. Being positive, becoming positive, trying to keep kids away from that lifestyle. That's good. That's a good thing. I don't look down upon it. That's a good thing. But when you get involved in stuff, you don't have the option just to step away from it whenever you want to.
These organizations and decided to get his NF tattoo covered up. That was a big no-no. Article 2, Section 5 of the NF Constitution states that an automatic death sentence will be put on Familiano that turns traitor, coward, or deserter. Brown Bob would lay low in his San Jose home and stay away from his past life. His past life would come back to haunt him though. A 1994 investigation would find...
I'm not too sure what his status was before he got out. I'm not even going to get too much in depth on that. I'm assuming he was a somebody. But like I said, when you become, or when you get involved in these politics, these bigger politics, not these little game banging politics, these bigger prison organizations, you cannot just step away. No.
Find him guilty of perjury and he was sent back to San Quentin. One day, Bob is on the yard with his fellow members. That's when he runs into Chuco, a high-ranking Northsider from San Jose. Chuco says he felt ashamed when he saw the covered up tattoo. This was strike 1, but strike 2 was equally as bad for Bob. Bob would talk to San Quentin about fixing the doors because sometimes they would pop open and then Nortes would go attack Southsiders. The reason he
That's all bad right there. He's snitching. Yeah, he's no good. To tell the Hudas, to tell the police, hey, these doors pop open and it leads to attacks. Yeah, it's all bad for him.
wanted to fix the doors is because he began preaching about how they need to stand their ground rather than attacking Southsiders for no reason. Basically, he was trying to get them to stop initiating violence. He would call for a truce with the rivals to stop the violence once and for all. This would be his last strike. This is when top-ranking member Quete would officially make the order on Brown Bob. Chuco would volunteer to take him down on the yard right there and then, but top ranks advised him to wait until he and Brown Bob would be released onto the streets. 2 years later, they were both released and Chuco would make good on his word. Chuco would have 3 members help him: Beto, Dreamer, and Bad Boy. He would assign them each a role. Beto would drive and be responsible for burning the car after. They would successfully get it done, and after the hit, they would all meet up at a hotel to relax in the pool, eat pizza, and drink beer. Beto makes a confession that he forgot to.
And that's normal. That is normal. People will go do stuff, you know, they'll go put in work. And I'm not too sure what you guys think of, like, gangbangers or people who are part of these organizations, but they're just regular people. I know it seems heartless, like they just killed the dude and they're at the pool swimming, eating pizza, but that's just like literally normal work, you know. People like that, they like to have fun too, you know. They do regular things too, but that just goes to show you how common and how normal putting in work is in organizations like this. So think about that before you decide to join. If you're young and you're watching this, think about that before you decide to be gang and go to prison and put in work.
To wipe down the door and steering wheel to remove the fingerprints. Bad Boy would make a mistake too. NF Constitution states that weapons must be immediately disposed of after they're used. Instead of doing that, he decided to keep carrying the same weapon he used on Brown Bob. Mistakes were made, but it wasn't mistakes that necessarily will get an order on you. Nonetheless, Beto knew that his mistake was crucial. He was a good northerner and he respected whatever consequences would come his way. He told Dreamer, "If I ever get taken out, I want it to be you." Later that night, Beto's body would be found in the dirt. Then, Bad Boy decided to testify in return for a reduced sentence.
That's crazy. So he's all bad too. You see how karma catches up? You see how karma catches up. Let's just say it like that. I understand the first dude, I think his name was Bob or whatever. I understand how he was deemed no good. But you see how he came out, he tried to do a positive thing. He tried to remain positive. Bad things happened to him. You see how fast karma hit these fools? I'm not saying that, you know, I'm glad it happened. I'm just saying it's crazy how fast karma works, you know. The other fool got whacked. You know, he stayed solid all the way to the end. He did some stuff that deemed him bad. He was so loyal to his, you know, to the cause that he went and he presented himself and he let these fools whack him. You got this fool right here. What's his name? Santos, aka Bad Boy. You got Bad Boy right here basically ranking it, testifying. Now he's deemed no good. Bad Boy went to go whack somebody that was no good. You feel me? Now, he testified. He switched it up. Now, he's no good. It's crazy.
He demanded that he would be moved to a new state and that his family would be put under witness protection. That's when they took in Dreamer and asked him to testify as well. Dreamer kept it silent though. He denied knowing anything about the case and accepted his time. This would lead up to Operation Black Widow.
So, Dreamer kept it solid. You know, he kept it solid. He's probably still part of that organization. I don't know. He might be dead by now. I don't know. The other dude, Bad Boy, he testified. I'm not too sure if he's still alive. Hopefully he's alive and hopefully he's happy, healthy, and chilling with his family. Now, what I gotta say about Bad Boy is basically if you rolled it up, basically if you PC'd up, basically if you're not a part of that lifestyle no more, keep that same energy when you come to the streets. A lot of these dudes will PC up, roll it up, lock it down, this, that, the third, then come back to the streets and still try to participate in street activity. It may not be gangbang activity, but they'll still try to sell drugs. They'll still be hooked on drugs. They'll still do robberies to be able to pay for their high. It's like, what's the point of being a dropout if you're just going to come to the streets and do bendijadas? What's the point? You should have just kept it solid. Now, if you become a dropout, if you become a PC and you come out here and you become productive, you get a job, you hold a job down, you start taking care of your family, and you say, I'm in a different mindset now. I see things clearly now. That lifestyle is not for me. Being in a cage is not for me. You would still be a snitch. You would still be a PC. But in my eyes, I could respect it. I could respect it way more than you come out here and be a drug addict. Because you're young, You were young when you got involved. Life probably dealt you a bad hand of cards and you were just playing them. Now, if you come out here and you do good, I ain't gonna look at you no type of way. Other people, you already know what it is. They gonna look at you like a snitch, but it's life.
The biggest event in Northsider history. I'm not going to get into that in this video because I need to cover ground on the streets. Let me break down California for you. Back in the day, California was split half red and half blue. But now it's different. Southern California is still all blue. You will rarely find any Nortes below Bakersfield.
That is not true. That is not true. I can't stress it enough. There's neighborhoods in Southern California that fall underneath the Southside umbrella that wear red. That the color to their hood is red. Not that they wear red. The color to their hood is red. You feel me? Color don't matter, bro. It matters and it doesn't matter. If you wear the wrong color in the wrong area, you're going to get boo-bopped. You're going to get questioned. They're going to pull up on you. They're going to bang on you. Yes, in that sense, it matters. But what I mean is, when it comes to this gang banging stuff, it don't matter. Gang banging is block to block. You feel me? It's block to block. It's, I don't know, let's use an example and say 78th Street. 78th Street, 76th Street, and 75th Street may get along, but 79th Street and 80th, they might beef it with them. It's block to block, bro, for the most part.
Northern California, though, is filled with Southsiders now. When LA began expanding like crazy, many people moved up to Northern California. They even brought their alliances with them. Now, they control entire neighborhoods. It's crazy. Let me explain. The top part of California is pretty cool.
Alright, so basically what he's going to say is, down south is nothing but southern hoods. Up north, there's mainly northern hoods, but you do have pockets of Southsiders in cities up north, which is true. It's true. I'm not gonna continue this whole video because it's already been 34 minutes. This is a long video. If you liked the video, go ahead and comment. Make sure to like. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you have not subscribed. And if you want me to react to certain hoods, drop down the hoods you want me to react to. Whether it's from a different state, whether it's, whatever. Let me know. If you guys like content like this, let me know. If you don't like content like this, then I probably won't make another reaction video to no hood stuff or to no game banging stuff. It's up to you. The choice is in your hands. With all that being said, this is Wiper 480, and I'm up out of here. Peace.